it's Elizabeth.
Hello, Alan.
Hello, Miss Kenny. Glad to see you back.
Thank you. Mother.
Darling.
Elizabeth.
Oh, Mother, darling.
Well, how does it feel to be home
Oh,
again?
wonderful. How are you?
Just fine. Couldn't be better. How are you, Dr. McDonald?
Hello, Mr. Kenny. Well, what do you think of your daughter now?
Oh, she's a little too grown up to suit me. I don't know what kind of a nurse she's going to make. I guess I'll have to get sick to find out.
Your father and I wanted to go to your graduation, but he's been so busy and there's...
Anyway, we wanted to meet you at the train. Why didn't you telegraph?
Did you see her graduate, Doctor?
He walked right in the middle of my oath.
Oh, I was in time for the last paragraph, and that's the important part of it.
What was that?
With loyalty will I endeavor to aid the physician in his work.
Precisely, and don't you forget it.
Never make a good nurse.
Why, Father?
Well, nursing is a career for a homely woman, and not one of the Kenny girls is homely.
Oh, yeah?
Dr. McDonald, you're going to have your trouble when she walks through the wards for the first time.
I'm a bit concerned about that myself.
It's the duty of a nurse to keep the patients cheerful.
Not that cheerful.
You haven't told us all the news about Mrs. McDonald, have you, Doctor?
Well, we heard that she...
Michael means that we heard Nellie was going to have a baby.
Yes. She lost it.
Oh, dear. Again? She loves children so.
Yes, she's very good with them, too. She wants Elizabeth to stay with us when she comes into the hospital. Do you remember the first time you stayed with us when you broke your arm?
I certainly do. Is that when you decided I wanted to be a nurse?
I didn't decide it at all. I just discovered a talent.
Oh, of course you didn't encourage it.
Whatever you did of your own free will.
So many people do exactly as you want, and always of their own free will.
You're a born nurse, and you know it. Our hospital's a fine chance for you. It's going to grow. Someday you'll be matron there. How soon can you start?
I'm not going to your hospital, Dr. McDonald. I'm staying here.
What are you going to do?
Be a bush nurse.
Bush nurse?
Do you remember what you said years ago when I broke my arm? You said it to Mother, but I never forgot. You said a good bush nurse could have set that arm, and you wouldn't have to break it to set it straight again. Well, I'm going to be that bush nurse.
It's quite a responsibility, you know. I'm the nearest doctor, and I'm 50 miles away.
That's just the point.
You think you've had enough experience? Don't you think a couple of years at the hospital would give you more confidence?
2 years in your hospital, and I'd never be a bush nurse.
I don't know. Where'd you get this crazy idea, anyway?
From you?
Well, that's ridiculous. Why start something you can't finish? Being a bush nurse is a killing life. You couldn't stand it.
I grew up here in the bush.
Not as a nurse. 30 miles from one neighbor to the next. In the saddle all the time. Bad roads, dirty cabins, boiling bedclothes, scrubbing floors.
I've thought of all that.
You couldn't stand it.
If you wanted to be really useful as a nurse, would you work in a hospital or out here in the bush?
Well, who's asking questions round
Come
here?
on, now, tell me I'm not needed here.
Elizabeth, I'm very worried about you. Someday that stubborn streak's going to get you into trouble.
How soon do you think?
In 6 months, you'll be applying at the hospital either as a nurse or as a patient.
Wished, everybody. Elizabeth Kenny, your friends and neighbors have gathered here tonight to do you honor.
And it's about time.
Wished, will you? As I was saying, to do you honor, and it's about time. For the best part of 3 years, you've labored amongst us without a thought of yourself. In the lonely watches of the night, in foul weather and fair, in sickness and in health.
Get on with it, Angus.
If you think you can do it any better, Patrick O'Shea, come up here and do it. Where was I? You see, he's driven it completely out of my head.
It's a beautiful speech, Mr. Fraser.
It was when I tried it on Maggie. But what I want to say is, the some of us here wouldn't be here if you hadn't patched us up. Look at me. 2 years ago, when I had a broken leg, I thought I'd never walk again. And all those bairns you brought into the world, aye, they're a bonny crop of Aussies.
Aye, that they are, Angus. Don't forget me, Angus. She pulled me through pneumonia.
Aye, she did, but she's allowed one mistake. Now, to come to the point, Nurse Kenny, since you won't take a penny for what you've done, we've all got together and... Archie! Archie!
I don't know what to say. Of course, you shouldn't have done this. I can't tell you how much it... I'm not very good at making speeches, but He seems to be able to say it far better than I can. Thank you. Thank you all. Now, let's go on with the dance. I'll sing it. Does it hurt here, Dory? Here, too?
She went lame yesterday, just like I've seen cows do before they fell down.
Can't you straighten your leg, Dory? Try this one. Try now. There. Don't cry, darling. We're not going to hurt you. Don't you think you could try and go to sleep now?
It's so
Yes. But we're going to fix you up.
Are you sure it isn't the cow sickness?
What ails her, Nurse Kenny?
Yes, what is it?
Don't you know what it is?
No, Martha, I don't. Where's the nearest telegraph office?
Dry Fork.
How long will it take you to get there?
About an hour if I take the shortcuts.
Wake up the operator if he's gone to bed. This has got to get straight through. Wait for the answer and bring it back as soon as you can. It's to Dr. McDonald in Toowoomba.
But he can't get way out here.
He can tell me what to do. I've described her symptoms. Please hurry.
Mommy, can I go, Daddy?
You go back to sleep now, Nora. Martha, you better keep the twins away from Dory. It might be catching.
Oh, can't you do something for her? The pain's so bad.
I can't do anything until I hear from Dr. McDonald.
Just that I can't stand here and cry like that.
Martha, you go make some tea for yourself and try and get some rest. Everything will be all right when we hear from Dr. McDonald.
infantile paralysis.
Paralysis.
They don't know any way to treat it. What kind of help is that from a doctor?
No known treatment.
That's what it says.
What are we going to do?
What the telegram says.
But it says there's no known treatment.
It says something else, Martha. Read it again.
Do the best you can with the
With the symptoms presenting themselves.
Oh, she's twisted into knots.
Yes. These muscles are contracted. They're pulling her into knots.
You mean they're paralyzed?
They were paralyzed. They couldn't pull. They feel tense and straining. Her back is arched. Spinal muscles feel contracted. The posterior neck muscles, too. Better? They look to me to be shorter than they should be. They're pulling against other muscles. That's why she's in pain. You see, this muscle isn't tense. This opposing muscle is. Looks to me to be drawn up in a kind of spasm or something. Spasm. I'll need your help, Martha. I'm going to try moist heat. I want to put it on as hot as she can stand it. Have you got some pieces of wool? Get an old blanket. We'll tear it into strips. Mr. McIntyre, build up the fire. Get me the basin first, please. Martha, you better bring some towels. Just set it right here. No, help Martha first, please. Take that towel. Take the other end of it, Martha. Hold it over the basin. Now, you keep fixing these strips. And I'll put them on, Dory, just as fast as you get them ready. Here, give me that end. Lift the basin, Martha. Twist it now. Twist it hard. There mustn't be any water in that wool or it'll scald her skin. Remember, every drop of water out. There, now do it like that. Hurry, get another one ready. You'll have to keep doing this whenever they lose their heat. Now, Dory, this is going to feel hot, but it won't burn you. Don't you be frightened. I'm going to wrap you all up in hot rags. I won't need any more, Martha. There. Now we'll keep the heat in. Feeling better, Dory? Dory.
She's asleep.
Hello, Kevin. Well. How are you, my boy?
Thank you. Hello, Mother Kenny. My, you look younger than ever.
Oh, it's wonderful to have you here again.
Well, the Army hasn't done you any harm.
Feels pretty good to get out of it. This country suits me. I'm never going to wear a uniform again.
You know, we were expecting you last night.
Oh? Where's Elizabeth?
Oh, we've hardly seen her for 10 days.
Infantile paralysis. She's got 5 cases now.
I don't know what she's going to do if it spreads anymore.
Well, if you want an epidemic, just send for me. What'd you say it was?
Infantile paralysis.
That's bad, isn't it?
Terrible.
It would break your heart to see those children.
Is it contagious?
Nobody seems to know anything about it.
Whoosh! Here she comes. Get back from the window. She'll see you. Now remember what you have to do. Go on now, my boy. Get in the pantry. Come on now, Mary. Get busy. Act as though you're doing something.
I still think it's mean.
Now, come on, Mary. Cut a slice of bread or a cup of tea, but whatever you do, do it natural.
Michael.
Hmm?
Is he here yet?
Are you sure he was to arrive here today?
Well, you saw his letter.
Any more cases, dear?
No, thank goodness.
How's the little Benson girl?
Only fair, Mother. I'm going over there again tonight. Got to get on to the McIntyres first.
What about Kevin?
Oh, dear. Why does that man have to come at a time like this?
Elizabeth.
I mean it.
It's a fine way to talk about a fine boy like Captain Connors fighting in India for the motherland.
Nonsense, Father. He was just sitting on a small bare hill in Afghanistan.
Now, what would he say if he heard that?
That's what he told me.
Now, don't you talk about him like that. You know you want to see him.
Of course I do. Dying to see him, but look at me, I'm a sight. I don't want things to happen this time the way they happened the last time he was here.
There's some nice cold mutton in the pantry. Don't you want to get it?
All I want's a cup of tea. Buy the best china.
It's pretty, isn't it?
Oh, dear, I've mislaid my spectacles somewhere. Now, where did... Oh, yes, I was fixing a shelf in the pantry. Elizabeth, would you mind Thank you.
I think I will have some of that mutton. Kevin, I don't think you should come with me.
Look, darling, you said you've only found one case in a family and then in houses miles apart.
That doesn't prove it isn't catching.
My only chance of getting any attention from you is to get sick myself, huh? Get in. I want to see Dory McIntyre. Come on, boy. Whoa.
Nurse Kenny, my mother wants you to come as quick as you can.
What's happened to her, Geordie?
It's my brother. He's got it.
Oh. Is he in much pain?
Yes, ma'am. His back's all bent and he can't hardly breathe. My mom told me to fetch you. Will you come?
Yes, Geordie. I'll come.
But, Liz, can't I drive you?
If it's contagious this time. Oh, would you go on to the McIntyres? Tell them I'll be along as soon as I can. I'll drive over with Geordie. You can bring me back. Get up.
Come on, boy. Take your time. Dory, that's exactly what happened. Just when I was all ready for a buggy ride, Nurse Kenny rode off with another chap, left me flat. Dory here is just as bad, Nurse Kenny. When I walked in here, she didn't even remember me.
Oh, you remember him, don't you, Dory?
No, I don't.
Why, only 3 years ago, you went to sleep in my arms.
No, I didn't.
He's the man that brought your little brother and sister.
No, he didn't.
By the way, where are the twins?
They're over at my sister-in-law's.
Nurse Kenny was scared it might be catching.
Does that hurt, Dory?
No.
You're a good girl.
Oh, she has been a good girl, Nurse Kenny. So still and patient.
Even when we changed the hot rags, she never stirred.
Well, I don't think she's going to need any more hot rags. Spasms all gone. These muscles look fine, relaxed. You'll be dancing around like a kangaroo in a few days.
Will you dance with me, Dory?
Don't know how to dance.
Well, I'll teach you. And Captain Connors is a wonderful dancer.
I don't know how she knows.
You always thought you were. Well, Dory, I don't think you'll need me anymore.
Can she get up now?
Yes, for a little while. Sit up, dear, and we'll put your nightie on. All the way up, dear.
Dory, you mustn't tease Nurse Kenny that way. Come on, sit up. Here's your nightie. Dory!
Just a minute. Don't you want to sit up, Dory?
Yes.
Just lie still, dear. Now do that yourself. Pull your knee up, dear. That's the first thing a little girl does when she walks. Pull it up, darling. Try, dear. Try hard.
I can't.
Move your leg, dear. Just move it.
Can't.
She's paralyzed.
Martha. Does this leg feel numb, Dory?
Feels funny.
Of course it does. See how I'm moving your leg now, Dory? It's as if you were walking in bed. Those legs look perfectly normal to me. You know, Dory, I think you're just lazy. I think you want me to move your legs for you when you walk. Now, that's a silly idea, isn't it? There now. I'm tired of walking for you. You do it for yourself. Lift your legs as if you were walking, Dory. Try, Dory.
I can't. I can't.
Oh, my baby. He's paralyzed. I knew. I knew.
Teach me how to dance, Nurse Kenny.
Oh, my baby. My baby.
You know what I think the trouble is? I think you've forgotten how to walk. You've been in bed so long.
I didn't forget. My legs just won't do it.
Very well, then. We'll blame your legs. Dory didn't forget. They forgot. Look at those wicked legs. They've forgotten how to walk. Well, we're going to have to teach them all over again. How can I teach them when they haven't got ears? You know, Dory, you should have grown ears on your legs. Do you know how people talk to each other when they haven't got ears? They talk with their hands. Well, that's what we're going to do. Oh, you don't know it, Dory, but I'm scolding away at these muscles. Yes. I'm giving them such a talking to. Dory, one of them just answered back.
What did it say?
It said it couldn't seem to remember. I told it it had to remember.
Think, dear. Think hard. Try to remember.
Please, Martha, this has nothing to do with her memory. Right now, I don't want her to think of a thing. Look.
What is it?
Dory, your leg just told me something. It's beginning to think it can remember. Now, you think, Dory. Think with it. Think of pulling from here. Pulling from here, Dory. Now lift your leg. Lift your leg.
Oh, darling.
You wicked leg.
Oh, I wouldn't scold it, Dory. The last thing it said to me was that it was going to be good. You're going to walk again, Dory. And dance, too. It's going to take time. That's enough for today. Oh, Kevin, I was scared.
I sort of thought so. But Dory didn't know it. Neither did her mother. Liz, just before Dory moved her leg, you told me to look. What was I supposed to see?
The tendon. It began to stand out just below the knee. Then I knew the muscle wasn't paralyzed. I'd been trying to get that reflex. Of course, if I'd been a doctor, I'd have known what to do in the first place. Just as well I found out on my first case. I may run up against the same thing with the others.
Oh, how's Geordie's brother?
Pretty bad.
You know, Liz, sometimes I get scared. What made you take up nursing in the first place?
I like nursing.
Where's it going to end?
Kevin, what are you afraid of?
You and nursing?
Oh, darling, don't be ridiculous. I told you I'd give it up when you came back.
Well, I'm here.
And I'm going to marry you.
When?
As soon as these children are well.
No more cases?
No more cases.
No more babies?
No more babies. Well...
Except our own? Cold feet?
Oh, they're freezing. Well, you don't know him. Oh, Kevin, do you mind if I see him alone first?
Sure, I don't want to see. I still don't see why you have to.
I'll only be 2 minutes.
All right, Dory, now wait just 2 minutes. Come on, Dory.
Well, Elizabeth, you look as if you're going to a party.
You like it?
Yes. Have a chicken leg? I'm just eating my lunch.
Will you eat it?
Have a pickle?
No, thank you. Dr. McDonald, you're going to be awfully disappointed in me.
Oh, no, Elizabeth. I have no doubt you did the right thing.
You knew about it all the time?
Why, of course.
Well, who told you?
Well, you did. You sent me the telegram, didn't you?
Oh, dear. This has nothing to do
Infantile
with the
paralysis is
telegram.
a frightening thing. I asked Dr. Brack to go, but he simply didn't have time. We had so many cases here, it was almost an epidemic. Thank goodness you had only one.
I had 6.
6?
6.
Oh, dear.
Just to get things straight as to why I'm here, there's a young man outside.
How many of these cases did you lose? How many of the children died?
Why, none. Dr. McDonald, I want you to meet a young man I've brought to the hospital. He's waiting outside.
I'll examine him later. Tell me, what percentage of crippling did you have? How many of the children are deformed?
Why, not any.
You mean to say you had 5 more cases like the one you described in your telegram and they all recovered?
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Oh, but I'm still working on my last case. I'm not satisfied with the way he walks. I'm still re-educating his muscles.
You're doing what to his muscles?
Teaching them to work again. I don't know how to put it. Teaching, re-educating. You must know all about it. Well, I only did what you told me to do in the telegram.
What did I tell you to do in the telegram?
Treat the symptoms. For spasm, moist heat. Then I got an awful shock when I found I had to re-educate the muscles. You didn't know about that.
Re-education, moist heat, spasm. There's not one of those terms in this book, and this is the standard work on infantile paralysis. Sir Robert Jenkins, it's Brack's Bible.
May I see it?
You're going to see something else first. Come along with me. Well, I don't know, but one of us is crazy.
Players!
How do you do? Be with you in a moment. Now, these are cases of infantile paralysis that ran true to form.
Hello, Doctor.
Oh, nurse, how's Becky?
Oh, Becky's fine today.
Hello, Dr. McDonald.
Hello, David.
Are they getting better?
They get worse instead of better. 88 out of every 100 cases finish this way. Let's Let's go over this again. You had 6 cases and they all recovered.
Yes.
It's fantastic. Let's check the symptoms. Headache,
right.
fever,
Yes.
muscular pain, afraid to be touched, limbs twisted, back arched.
Yes.
What about breathing? Any trouble?
1 case.
That's vulvar. It's very bad.
Liz!
Be with you in a moment. It couldn't be a clearer picture, Elizabeth. There's infantile paralysis in the acute stage. Is that what you saw?
Yes, yes. That's exactly like my second case. That's like the little Benson girl. Yes, those same muscles were shortened.
Shortened?
They were in spasm. Well, you told me to treat the symptoms. That's all I did.
That's what you think. Elizabeth, I don't think you realize what you've done. Of course, I may be wrong. I'm just a general practitioner. Dr. Brack will know it's his field. We'd better go to his office right away. Brack's really made a study of polio. He's one of the best men in the country.
Dr. McDonald.
I'll be with you in a moment.
We'll stop this.
Oh, no, I shall never forget that telegram. MacDonald and I agreed it was a model of brevity. About as concise a description of the classical symptoms of poliomyelitis as I've ever seen.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Brack.
Come and sit down. I want to hear everything that happened. It was a little girl, wasn't it?
Yes.
Oh, tragic business. Is she badly crippled?
No.
Fine, fine. You were lucky only 1 case developed.
She had 6 cases.
Really? Well, but why weren't they reported?
They have all recovered, and there is no crippling.
Extraordinary.
No crippling, Brack.
I don't know another instance of epidemic that was so light.
Well, I wouldn't call it exactly light, Dr. Brack.
I don't think you've got the point yet, Doctor. I may be wrong, I'm no expert, but if I have my facts right, Nurse Kenny has discovered an entirely new treatment for infantile paralysis. And what's more, it's successful.
Well, offhand, MacDonald, I should say you haven't got your facts right. However, let's hear what they are. Sit down, Nurse Kenny. Sit down.
You sit down.
Oh, you mustn't mind my skepticism. MacDonald here's quite a joker. I'm never sure he's not trying to pull my leg. Now, tell me, what did you do?
Well, first I treated the shortened muscles for spasm.
Spasm?
Spasm.
And then what?
Then I thought they were well, but they weren't.
You found some muscles were paralyzed.
Well, it was an awful moment when I thought they were.
What do you mean, thought they were, weren't they?
Well, they were disconnected from the brain. Alienated. They certainly didn't work.
Oh, I see. Alienated.
Oh, it wasn't the sick muscles that were alienated. It was the other ones.
You hear that, MacDonald? The other ones were alienated. Mm-hmm. And so then what did you do?
Well, then I found there was still some reflex. So I proceeded to re-educate the muscles.
And they lived happily ever after. MacDonald, are you serious about this?
I certainly am.
Then you're a bigger fool than I thought you were. Nurse Kenny, I don't want to hurt your feelings. I've no doubt you did a fine job. But in future, it might be useful for you to know just what really happens in polio.
The point is, Brack, that what happens didn't happen.
Oh, we'll come to that in a minute, Doctor. Come here. I used this model to demonstrate how infantile paralysis produces deformity. Now, this is the normal functioning of the leg. You see? The muscles pull against each other in pairs. Now, what happens in infantile paralysis? Assume that these muscles become paralyzed and can't pull back as they should. Then, these normal muscles contract and, meeting no resistance, pull the leg back into a deformed position.
Is that what you saw in your patient?
Yes.
It becomes impossible to straighten the leg, and it may become a permanent deformity.
What have you to say to that, Elizabeth?
You say these muscles are sick.
Paralyzed.
But if they were not paralyzed, if they were not sick at all, if they were perfectly normal, and these muscles were sick, shortened, being drawn up in spasm, they would contract, and you would get the same deformity, wouldn't you?
Exactly what occurred to me.
Nonsense. You're trying to find a reason for an irrational concept.
I think it's quite rational.
You can't take a theory that's been accepted for half a century and turn it upside down like that. Spasm, re-education, alienation, I don't know what they mean.
How could you, Brack? They're not in the books. I've a notion Nurse Kenny knows what they mean.
Now, just a minute, Doctor. If her theories were correct, she'd have discovered not a new treatment, but an entirely new disease.
Well, I've no objection to her discovering a new disease so long as she can cure it.
Well, I don't want to be rude, but are we to take Nurse Kenny's word against Sir Robert Jenkins?
Oh, no.
Obviously, you can't take her word when you haven't heard it. Now, I'm no orthopedic man, but I think this is very important. I'm asking you to sit down and to listen to what she did.
Oh, very well, very well.
Oh, sorry.
Where's Nurse Kenny?
Well, it's about time to find out, Dory. Come on.
Let me see if I can sum up the interpretation you put on the symptoms you observed. First, you say that the muscle we call sick is not sick, that it's the opposing muscle that's affected. Secondly, you say that the sick muscles do not become paralyzed, but that the opposing muscles, being pulled out of their normal resting length, lose their function, become alienated, as you put it.
Yes, Doctor.
Third, you believe that these apparently paralyzed muscles can have their function restored by stimulating certain reflexes, what you call re-education.
That's it, Doctor.
Well, yes. These certainly are revolutionary discoveries.
Then you do think I've found a way to help these children?
No, you've wasted 2 hours of my time. And before you try to revolutionize medicine, you should learn a little more about it. Medical science is a business of facts, not fancies.
But surely, Bragg...
Now, just a minute, Doctor. It's taken me 20 years to collect this library. Every book in this section is by an authority on polio. Spasm, re-education, alienation. You won't find one of those terms in any of those books. They deal with facts, and that's what we need. Facts.
But that's what we're here for. Nurse Kenny's brought a few facts, and they're new ones. You only seem to recognize a fact if it's printed in a book. She did something.
She did something very dangerous, and you shouldn't encourage it. There is no treatment for the acute stage. The fight against polio is the fight against frightful deformity. And the only way that offers any hope is prompt and complete immobilization.
How, Doctor?
Well, how do you immobilize a broken leg? You put it in splints, don't you?
But the children must be in agony.
Can there be any agony worse than lifelong deformity?
But if you make the arms and legs rigid so the child can't move, how can it ever learn to walk again?
My dear girl. Yes?
He can do it now, Dr. Bragg. I told him he could show you tomorrow, but he insisted on coming right now.
Oh, excellent. I want to see that. You're very clever, David. Go ahead. You've got an audience.
Easy, David, easy.
No, David. Kick it as hard as you can.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Bragg.
Not at all. Not at all. That's very clever of you, David. I'm glad you came in. Nurse Kenny, this is an example of poliomyelitis in its chronic stage. This boy had no spasm, no hot pack, no alienation.
And no re-education.
I think it's a pretty serious thing, MacDonald, to encourage a nurse to contradict the greatest orthopedic authorities in the world.
Oh, I'm not contradicting you, Dr. Bragg.
I'm not referring to myself.
I'm not contradicting anybody. But I cannot deny what I saw with my own eyes. I didn't know what infantile paralysis was until I got your telegram.
It was your diagnosis, Bragg.
Now, just a minute. You say that your patients are not deformed.
No.
Well, deformities often develop later. I'd like to examine one of your patients.
Isn't that the young man you wanted me to examine?
Oh, no. It's the child. This is my first patient, Dr. Bragg, Dory McIntyre. Come here, dear.
We'll take a look at her, Bragg. Is she recovered or not?
Oh, we'll very soon find out.
Oh, Kevin, come in. I'll explain in just a minute.
Let's take her clothes off, nurse. I want to test her muscles.
Yes, Doctor.
Which leg was affected?
Both legs, Doctor. Sit down, dear.
Arms?
No, not the arms.
Spine?
Yes, and the posterior neck muscles. Oh, Dory, look at those knees. You got them all dirty. Those hands aren't too clean either. That's it. Now lie down for the doctor. Right here.
Okay. Now, flex your leg. Hold your leg against my hand. Hold tight. Normal strength. She takes full resistance. Now, pull your foot up. Push it down. Yes. Sit up. Lean forward. straight, no scoliosis. All right, step again.
You did a good job, Elizabeth. She looks perfectly well to me.
Perfectly.
Oh, I knew all you had to do was see her, Dr. Brack. Come on, Dory. Show the doctor how you can run.
I can dance, too. She learned me how to dance. I can do cartwheels.
Well, there it is, Brack. That's what we've been talking about. They're both the same disease and different treatments.
Are you sick? I was, but I'm well now. What's your name? David. What's your name? Dory. You know what? I can kick a football. Want to see me dance again? No, turn another cartwheel.
Dory.
Come along, David. Nurse, take him out.
Yes, Doctor.
Goodbye. Bye.
Well, Brack, it looks as if this little fact here with the dirty knees has knocked your books and your braces and your orthodox treatment into a cocked hat.
My dear MacDonald, I told you when you came in here, I didn't think you had your facts right. Well, here's your first wrong fact. This child never had infantile paralysis.
Never had it.
Not a trace of it.
Brack, are you out of your mind?
All my experience proves conclusively that no child could possibly have recovered from poliomyelitis in such a short time.
Then what did she have?
I haven't the slightest idea. I wasn't there.
But the telegram...
It's quite clear that the symptoms were not accurately observed.
I don't know what this is all about, Liz, but if you want me as a witness...
No, Kevin, please.
If Nurse Kenny said those symptoms were observed, they were there.
Well, I've no doubt she's a very good nurse.
She's more than that.
Oh, has she got degrees I don't know about?
That's just the point. If she'd been a doctor, she'd have followed the orthodox treatment. She wouldn't have done the things she did. She wouldn't have dared.
Oh, perhaps we should turn our business over to nurses.
Well, if they could do better, I wouldn't mind.
If that's the case, I don't think we have much to discuss.
Just a minute, Doctor. I saw this child when she couldn't move. I saw what Nurse Kenny did.
Oh? Are you a doctor, too?
No, but I saw her make Dory walk.
Nurse Kenny, your friends are going to lead you into grave trouble. I advise you to stick to nursing and not meddle with orthopedic medicine. It's a complicated subject which is difficult enough for those who spend a lifetime studying it. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Brack, no one who knows your record can doubt your sincerity or your ability. But since I know Nurse Kenny better than you do, I can't dismiss this incident without investigation. All you have to do is to try Nurse Kenny's treatment on one acute case in this hospital.
Never in the world will I consent to it. You can't play with children's lives. This is a tragic business. You don't know how tragic it is.
That's just why I'm asking.
You've seen only a few cases, MacDonald. I've seen thousands. I'm in charge of the orthopedic work in this hospital, not you.
But if no new treatment were ever tried...
I will not experiment with the lives of children.
Not even to save them? Even if you think her treatment is wrong, dangerous, it's your duty to try it on one sick child.
Guinea pigs, yes. Children, no. I wouldn't submit my own children to such an experiment.
Well, I would.
You have no children.
Well, I'm glad you're through with it.
We're not licked yet, Elizabeth.
As long as I live, I'll never forget David. I don't know who's having the best time, Dory or Mrs. McDonald.
You know, Liz, I don't think we should have any children.
Why?
You wouldn't have any time left for me.
Then I won't have any.
Fine. That's settled. No brats.
How many do you really want?
Well, I plan on 10 the first 5 years.
Oh, think I better go on being a nurse.
Not after next Saturday, you won't. No married nurses in this country. Liz, in all the excitement, you forgot to tell me. What did McDonald say?
About what?
About getting married. Did you get angry? You forgot to tell him. What's the matter, Liz? Are you ashamed of me?
Oh, no.
Well, here's your chance to prove it.
I'll be with you in a moment.
He must have had another fight with Dr. Brack. Doctor's in his office.
Oh, thanks, dear. Hello, darling.
Millie.
You had any food?
Oh, no, I haven't. Could you get me a snack?
I'll warm it up.
Come in here, you two. Well, Elizabeth, this is tougher than I thought.
Didn't you get anywhere with him, Doctor?
About that far. He wouldn't let you touch an acute case of infantile paralysis with a 10-foot pole.
Well, Brack isn't the only specialist in Australia.
Right now, every other orthopedic man in the country would back him up. He's a brilliant man, and he's absolutely sincere. In his opinion, he's defending the lives of children, and that's his job. He'll never let you touch an acute case.
But I did it as a nurse.
Try it again, you'll be prosecuted. This thing's bigger than it was this afternoon. Brack's in the warpath. Even my scalp feels a bit loose at the edges.
He'd look pretty silly if you took it to the newspapers. Tell him everything.
Kevin, that's wonderful.
Well, he wouldn't have a leg to stand on.
If you were a quack, Elizabeth, that's exactly what I tell you to do. You'd hang yourself in no time. Medical questions aren't settled in the newspapers. You'd brand yourself as a fake in the eyes of every decent doctor in the country.
You mean to say that every decent doctor in the country is a pig-headed fool?
Well, now, look, Captain. Suppose a civilian came to you in the field and told you your military science was all wrong. You'd tell him to go to blazes, wouldn't you? Well, the medical profession is society's only defense against quackery. Our degrees, our licenses, our medical associations are a wall to protect society against vicious men who are willing to trade on human ignorance and misery.
That's a beautiful speech, Doctor. So inside the wall, you go on making cripples.
Surely there must be some way you can try what I did.
I can't. But you can. Elizabeth, do you believe in your treatment?
Why, of course I do.
Then take their failures. The Davids, you can find plenty of them. Children the doctors have given up. You saw some today. They'll be discharged soon, hidden away in little houses in forgotten streets with broken-hearted parents. Take the worst cases. Take 10 that can't walk. Make them walk. And your treatment, the Kenny treatment, will be adopted in every hospital in Australia. In the world. Take their failures. What's the matter?
We came here to tell you we're going to be married.
Oh. Congratulations.
I'll help you, Richard.
Bye, Miss Kenny.
Goodbye, Valerie.
Goodbye, Miss Kenny.
Goodbye, Dorothy.
You know this isn't our doing, Nurse Kenny.
I know that, Mrs. Hicks.
We think it a wicked shame.
Haven't his parents come, Nurse Kenny?
Richard has no parents, Doctor.
We have a court order to take him to the orphanage.
Is that his case history?
Yes,
Does it say that he was given up 6 months ago as a hopeless cripple?
that's right. By a general practitioner, however.
Of course, any specialist could see that he never had infantile paralysis.
Precisely.
What was it that twisted his legs out of shape? Muscular cramp? I've heard that before, too.
According to the record, he had an obscure nervous derangement.
Oh, that's a new one. He had an obscure nervous derangement, so he was treated for 5 months for infantile paralysis.
May I remind you, Nurse Kenny, we don't discuss these matters in front of patients.
That makes it rather difficult for me. Sit up, dear. The only time I see a doctor is when they come to take my patients away. I had 12 children here. All of them were carried in. 7 of them walked out tonight. Richard here was one of the worst.
I've no intention of arguing the matter. All right, my boy.
You don't need to lift him. Come on, Richard. We've had fun here, haven't we?
Yes, Nurse Kenny.
Well, you'll have a good time where you're going. There'll be lots of children for you to play with. Now, will you remember all the exercises I've taught you?
Yes, Nurse Kenny.
All right, then. Off you go.
Come on.
Don't touch him. He's going to walk out of here by himself. Just a moment. You forgot something.
Is there anything more I can do for you?
You've done too much already, Mrs. Gordon. I wish I could have paid you.
I've been well paid, my dear.
This is the first time I've seen you in uniform. You look wonderful.
Best tailor in Toowoomba. How are you, Liz?
I'm fine, except for the fact you're going away.
It won't be for long.
Why didn't you tell me you were going so soon?
I didn't know.
When you sail?
As soon as we get to Sydney. Here, this address will find me overseas.
I'll write tonight. Kevin.
Don't worry, Liz. I'll be back for Christmas.
Whatever you do, don't fall in love with a nurse.
I can't. I already am. Oh, here, your mother sent this for the children. How are they?
Fine. 7 walking.
Everything going well?
Couldn't be better.
Goodbye, darling.
Goodbye, Kevin.
Careful, sir.
I still don't see why you want to go in the army.
Oh, I'm used to a fight. I might as well get in a good one.
Well, I think they'll take you, but not in that hat. Have you written to Captain Connors that you're going overseas?
Not yet. But I've cabled von Hindenburg to cease firing so that we can have a holiday in Paris.
I wouldn't put it past you. Now, I want to get one thing straight, and that's the last question I'll ask you. You don't start this massage in the acute stage.
No, not until the pain is all gone. And don't call it massage. You sound like Dr. Brack.
Well, what is it? You use your hands. What do you do?
It's very simple. I stimulate subconscious neuromotor impulses by agitating the proprioceptive receptors in the periphery.
You what?
I stimulate subconscious neuromotor... Why are you asking all these questions?
Well, in France, you might forget about it. Take care of yourself, Elizabeth.
Oh, you take care of yourself for a change.
And don't forget, the fight against polio will go on longer than the war.
It'll probably go on until the last doctor dies of it.
Well, this is a new one. Putting a soldier underground before he's dead. Who ordered this transfer?
I don't know, sir. Just carrying out orders.
That was all right where I was. Why did I have to be moved?
You're supposed to be quiet, sir.
I'm going to make a nuisance of myself till I find out who ordered this transfer.
Take it easy, sir. We'll get you off.
It's all right. I'll make it all right myself. Wait a minute, you chaps. Who's in charge around here? Who ordered this transfer?
I did, sir.
Liz.
Anything else, nurse?
No, thank you. Any further complaints, Major Connors?
I can't believe it. Liz, your last letter, this is from Leon. How'd you get here?
I had myself transferred. Then I had you transferred. That's all there was to it.
I wish I had your brains.
Will you come and see me in the guardhouse?
Forgery.
Almost. Oh, darling, how is your leg?
All it needs is a little time and a good nurse.
You sure it's not bad?
Right now, I think it's the luckiest thing that's happened to me in 4 years.
Now, let's see. Oh, yes. Think of nothing, Clarence.
What's nothing?
It's, well, it doesn't matter. Don't pay any attention to what I'm doing.
All right.
Is there any pain there?
Oh, Doctor, I told Dr. McDonald you gave strict orders not to remove any splints from your patients.
All right, nurse, I gave permission.
That's what I kept trying to tell her.
What's that for?
You're not supposed to pay any attention to what I'm doing. You're supposed to relax.
Why don't you relax?
Clarence?
What you doing?
I wish you'd stop asking questions. I don't quite know myself what I'm doing, but I'm trying to find out.
Well, if you don't know, I don't.
Well, if you want to know what I'm doing, I'm trying to stimulate subconscious neuromotor impulses by agitating the proprioceptive receptors in the periphery.
Oh.
Now you can watch. No, lie down. Pull from there. Now think. Now you see what I'm doing? I'm exercising your quadriceps. Now do that yourself. Come on, lift your leg. Can't you lift it?
If I could, I'd walk out of here.
You finished, Doctor? Yes, I'm finished. Goodbye, Clarence.
Bye, Doc. Can I have my splint back?
All right, nurse, prepare your splint.
Yes, Doctor.
Well, MacDonald, do you want to experiment on any more of my patients?
No, I'm no good at it. But Kenny can do it.
Not in this hospital.
Elizabeth! Now, where did you
Hello,
spring
Dr.
from?
McDonald.
Your mother said you wouldn't be here for another month.
Well, I was on my way home when the armistice was signed on a hospital ship.
My, you look fine.
And so do you. How is Nellie?
Nellie, I've never seen her so happy.
Ah, you have a son.
She's very proud.
And you're not.
Well, he's quite a remarkable child, you know. Brack delivered him.
Couldn't you get anybody else?
It was a bit of a hurry. Come sit down. Congratulations on your promotion. What am I supposed to call you now? Sister Kenny?
Sister Kenny. And please have a little respect for my military rank.
Oh, I will. How's Major Connor?
He's in hospital in England. It'll be 6 months before he can walk.
But he'll walk.
He'll walk.
Good. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. And now what do you plan to do?
I'm going home and wait for Kevin.
You're not interested in nursing?
No?
No more clinics?
No.
Feel you need a rest, eh?
I certainly do. Mother's all alone now. I'll wait there for Kevin.
What about polio?
Never heard of it.
Did you ever hear of the Kenny treatment?
Kenny? Elizabeth Kenny? She's a fake doctor. A dangerous quack. Every doctor in Australia knows that.
So you've lost your faith in her?
Not at all. But let somebody else do it.
Trouble is, they don't know enough about it. When they try it, it doesn't work.
Then they're stupid. It's perfectly simple. Who's been trying it?
Well, how should I know?
Well, you just said they don't know very much of...
Dear. I forgot to look at that patient in Ward 3. I'll be back in a minute. Would you like to look at the paper? Aye. You ought to have a fine 6 months at home.
Sister, how soon is tea?
Oh, pretty soon now, Mickey.
I'm getting hungry.
There we are, Carolyn. Very good. Turn over now, dear. On your face. That's the girl. Now, we're going to pull those shoulder blades back. Pull them back, dear. Can't you hold that there, Carolyn? You know, we've got to learn to anchor that scapula. Now, try this one. Hold it there. Oh, Nurse Warren. Give Carolyn her exercises, please.
Yes, sister.
Hello, Liz.
Come in, Kevin. Would you like to see the children?
No, Liz. I read your letter, and I don't understand it.
Well, I tried to be definite.
You certainly were definite. Liz, this seems absurd to me. I won't accept it. I have the greatest sympathy with your work, but I can't sit by and see you throw away every chance of personal happiness.
Let's sit down, darling.
Well?
You may be right. I may be wasting my life. But I haven't got the right to waste yours, too. And I have no intention of doing it.
Nonsense.
No, it isn't, Kevin. You've been so good each time I asked you to wait, you never said a word. You didn't let me realize how unfair it was. I guess I didn't want to realize it.
Liz, if I choose to wait, it's my doing. It's my responsibility. Maybe I'm a fool. All right, I'm a fool. Go on and finish your job here in Townsville. How long's it going to take? Well, when do you think you'll be finished?
I don't think I'll ever be finished, Kevin.
Let's say 2 years.
We've always said something like that. It'll go on and on. The day that doctors let me treat an acute case, I'll be in sight of the end, but that's all.
Let's face facts, Liz. Are you any nearer to that today than you were 10 years ago?
Yes, a little, I think. I'm learning a lot about polio I didn't know. I'm getting better results with the children.
You know, I rather wanted some children, too.
That's a little unfair, Kevin.
Maybe it is, but it's true. You're wrong, Liz. I know it.
That's my decision.
I'm not going to let you throw yourself away on this work any longer. If there was the slightest hope, Liz...
Sister Kenny?
Come in, please.
My name's Johnson, sister. I've come clear from Brisbane. This is my little girl, Emily.
Hello, Emily.
Hello, sister.
I've got no money, sister. But if you could take Emily here, maybe I could work for you. Scrubbing or something.
Let's have a look at you, Emily. Well, how old are you?
8. No, 8.5.
Oh, well, when did you take sick?
I don't remember.
She was only 3, sister.
Well, I can't tell whether I can help you until I examine you thoroughly. But we're going to try. First thing we're going to do is to take off those braces. I think you'll have a good time here, Emily. There are lots of little girls for you to make friends with. Do you hear them out there? Well, we'll meet them in just a minute. Most of the time we live outside here where we get lots of sun. And now we're going to take you out into the sun.
Joe, have you seen Sister Kenny?
Yes, just a minute ago, Doctor. Did she buy a ticket for Brisbane? Yes, she did, Doctor. Ticket? Oh, hello, Doctor.
Elizabeth,
Now, what are you doing here?
did you actually think you could sneak off to Brisbane without telling me?
What are you so excited about? 10 years ago, you'd have sent me there.
I've learned something in 10 years. You haven't. You're stubborn as you were at Townsville.
Don't be ridiculous. I know what I'm doing. Give me the bag.
In this epidemic, there'll be nothing but the orthodox treatment. Brax in Brisbane.
That's one reason I'm going. You told me to convince the doctors.
You open a clinic there and they'll shut you up in a week.
I don't think I'd mind if I could get my hands on one acute case.
You touch an acute case and they'll shut you up in a minute. And in jail.
Well, anyway, I'm going.
All right. But sit down for a minute. You've still got time. Now, look, Elizabeth. There's one thing you don't seem to realize. Big people make little people feel small, and naturally they resent it. Now, when the big person happens to be a nurse, well, you know as well as I do what a shock it is to a doctor to be told off by a nurse. Now, I've heard a lot of stories complaining about the same thing. You antagonize them, Elizabeth. You've said some very unkind things about doctors.
I've never said anything unkind about doctors. I'd like to see a few of them in their own splints.
Now, look, Elizabeth, the train's going in a minute, and there are 2 things I want to get off my chest. First, use more tact, more patience.
I'm never impatient.
And the second point is this. You're bound to run into Bragg. Now, you use 4 words that aren't in the books, and that drives him mad. If you say spasm, he'll have a spasm. Alienation, incoordination, re-education. He just doesn't know what you mean when you use those words.
And he won't take the trouble to find out.
Well, that's one of the facts you've got to face. To him and to all the specialists, those are not scientific terms, so don't use them.
Now, what are you going to call spasm except spasm?
Call it a muscle condition.
A muscle condition?
Muscle condition, but not spasm.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Goodbye. Good luck. And no spasm.
No spasm.
I'm sorry about this, sister. When I let you move in here, I didn't know the place was unfit for hospital purposes.
When I moved in here, Mr. Todd, it was not unfit for hospital purposes. Not until I put that up.
Let me know if there's anything I can do.
Thank you, Mr. Todd.
This patient has just finished his quarantine isolation. At the onset of the attack, the familiar symptoms of polio appeared. A stiff neck, headache, fever, with ensuing muscular pain, followed by the loss of the use of arms and legs. This boy was brought here immediately, and I advised total immobilization. Certain muscles have become paralyzed owing to the destruction of the anterior horn cells of the spinal column. The result was that strong, unaffected muscles are pulling against weak, paralyzed muscles and producing deformity. You doctors who've worked so many years in orthopedic medicine know the familiar, tortured position of the victims very well. Here you see the most modern application of splints to prevent deformity.
Dr. Brack?
Here on the right arm, I've applied the latest type of airplane splint.
Dr. Brack?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Miss Elizabeth Kenny, who has somewhat original notions on the pathology and treatment of this disease. Miss Kenny, I presume you've come to discuss infantile paralysis?
Yes, Dr. Brack.
Well, in order not to waste the time of these busy people, who after all came to hear me, I suggest that we postpone the discussion.
How many years, Doctor?
Miss Kenny, I'll be delighted if you'll call at my office.
I've called at your office on 3 different occasions.
Did you have an appointment?
Your secretary refused to give me one.
Well, get in touch with her again. I'm sure it can be arranged. We're in the middle of an epidemic. It's quite likely that I was engaged.
The last time I was there, you were having tea.
Well, I hope that this class will not be further disturbed. Now, where was I? Oh, yes. The type of splint I've applied on the right arm...
Dr. Brack, I don't like this any more than you do. But I have no reason to believe I'll ever see you in your office. And I must have an answer, and a public one if possible, to this question. Why do you prevent me from doing my work?
Miss Kenny, I do not prevent you doing your work. It's the authorities.
At your request.
Isn't that putting it rather rudely?
Do you know how to put it politely?
Ladies and gentlemen, since we cannot avoid this interruption, perhaps we can make use of it. As open-minded men of science, we do not reject ideas without examination. Now, Miss Kenny's ideas were familiar to me 20 years ago. I even permitted a general practitioner, Dr. MacDonald of Toowoomba, to test them with very sad results. Nobody who reads the newspapers in which Miss Kenny's name appears more and more frequently can be unaware of her existence, but they may be unfamiliar with her ideas. Now, how many of you here know anything of the so-called Kenny treatment? Miss Kenny, would you like to tell this class how ignorant I am and how dangerous the orthodox treatment of this disease is?
I certainly would, but I don't think you're ignorant, only pig-headed.
Oh, come down here, please. Come over here. Speak freely. Explain your theory.
Well, the fundamental difference between us is which muscle is sick.
Go on.
Dr. Brack, I didn't expect to find you so tolerant. This is the first time in 20 years I've been given a hearing before orthopedic men.
Yes, Miss Kenny, go on.
Well, Dr. Brack considers that one muscle is paralyzed and the opposing muscle is healthy. I say the opposing muscle is sick, call it a muscle condition. Now, the first thing to do when you find a muscle condition like that is to apply moist heat and reduce the muscle condition. The first thing to do is to keep the muscles relaxed. If you put them in splints, you only make the muscle condition worse.
Yes, that would be quite reasonable, if your concept were correct. Come to the convalescent stage.
Well, after the spasm is...
Spasm?
Yes, spasm. After the spasm is relieved, you find the muscles look perfectly normal. But they are not.
They're alienated, incoordinated, and they need re-education.
There is no such thing as spasm and infantile paralysis. Incoordination, re-education, alienation. You'll find that word in the divorce court, not in medical science. These are not scientific terms. They're gibberish. You invented them.
Yes, for a new concept. New ideas need new words. The words I use describe the things I see.
Well, how is it that we don't see them?
Because you've got a book in front of your eyes. Whole libraries, words. If you were interested in what I mean, you wouldn't quibble about the words I use.
Without the strict and careful use of words, there could be no science. We can't waste any more time if you express yourself in terms that have no meaning.
They have meaning for me. I call it spasm. I treat spasm.
You get cures. Isn't that right?
Lots of doctors have tried to catch me on that one. I don't claim to have a cure. But I get improvements, Doctor, even with your failures. I don't have a chance to show what I could do if I started where you do, in the acute stage. 20 years ago in the bush, I had that chance. I had 6 acute cases, and they all recovered. But ever since then, over and over, I've heard the same thing whenever a patient showed improvement. He didn't have polio.
Have you finished?
I'll never finish until you stop doing that.
We will never abandon immobilization. In my opinion, a patient should be encased in plaster.
To me, that's terrifying.
I can show you patients whose bodies are perfectly straight as the result of using plaster.
Yes, straight and rigid. There are thousands lying out in the graveyard that have just as much chance of recovering the use of their legs.
Miss Kenny, you're speaking in front of a patient.
I've tried to speak to you elsewhere. And hasn't he a right to hear? It's his life, not yours or mine.
You're making a very serious mistake.
I've made lots of mistakes, Doctor. Do you know anyone who hasn't? Are any of us infallible? You don't need me to tell you that medical ideas change. Your fathers bled their patients for everything from a fever to a cold. Do you do it anymore? Harvey changed a few ideas. So did Pasteur.
Do you compare yourself with Pasteur?
Certainly not. But I wish he were here.
So do I, Miss Kenny. He had a cure for hydrophobia.
The only thing that makes that laughter tolerable, Dr. Brack, is that I know you're sincere. But sincerity doesn't excuse a shut mind or the cruelty to which that stubborn righteousness subjects thousands of children.
Luckily, the fate of these children is not in the hands of emotional quacks. As long as we are entrusted with the responsibility of authority, we will never permit you to tamper recklessly with their lives. It's a dangerous thing to traffic in human affliction.
You can keep me from treating an acute case, Dr. Brack, but not from the hopeless ones, the ones you've given up. Oh, if you need any more braces, steel corsets, or other instruments of medieval torture, I can send them to you. I've taken plenty off your patients.
Miss Kenny. I think you should be very careful before you consider this matter settled. To become a nurse, you took an oath. Do you remember the last paragraph?
With loyalty will I endeavor to aid the physician in his work.
Instead of aiding physicians, you have the arrogance to try to teach them their profession. In the opinion of many doctors, you are no longer a nurse.
You can't dispose of me that way, Dr. Brack. I've given up too much for the right to wear a nurse's uniform.
Sister Kenny.
My name is Tutor of the Queensland Health Department.
Weren't you in there?
Yes. Well, just a moment, Sister Kenny. I'm not against your work.
Who said my clinic was an unfit place for sick children?
Not the Queensland Health Department. I'd like to ask you a favor. Will you come to my office tonight?
What for?
We've got a lot to discuss.
You say that happened in 1914?
July 1914.
And then your work was suspended because of the war?
That's right.
Did you keep a record of all the cases you treated?
Not as careful a one as I should have. What is this all about, Mr. Tutor?
I'll explain in a moment, just as soon as I get this record straight.
Good evening, Tudor. Am I late?
Not at all. Sister Kenny, I'd like you to meet Dr. Gideon.
How do you do, Doctor?
How do you do, Sister Kenny? I wanted to meet you for a long time.
And I take it you're not an orthopedic man.
I'm afraid I am.
Oh.
I saw the result of your treatment on a girl named Johnson.
Oh?
I think you had her in Townsville years ago. She's walking remarkably well.
If there's anything wrong with the orthodox treatment, I want to find out about it.
You're sure you're an orthopedic man?
That's what it says on my diploma.
Hello, Tudor. Hello, Gideon. Well, Elizabeth.
What brought you here?
Spasm.
And you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You made a mess of my treatment in front of Dr. Brack.
I never
Now,
did.
Dr. McDonald.
Who told you about that?
Muscle condition.
Well, you won't scold when you read this. Take a look at it. It's from the London County Council. You see, they want you in England. That's the most encouraging thing that's happened in 20 years.
It doesn't say I can treat an acute case.
Now, how many have you treated here?
It's the only way I'm ever going to prove anything.
Well, finish the letter. Finish the letter. She's got to go to England.
But just a moment, MacDonald. How about our plan to get a royal commission?
Well, by all means, go ahead with it.
But you mustn't leave Australia.
Certainly not.
If we can get Parliament to appoint a group of the foremost doctors in the country to investigate the Kenny treatment, her fight is won.
Fine, fine. But you don't expect her to sit around and twiddle her thumbs while they stop her work at every turn. The only thing slower than a royal commission is full payment on a doctor's bill.
But she shouldn't go to England. I want to find out something about this treatment.
Certainly she should go to England. What they do there this year, they'll do here the next.
She should be here when we get that royal commission.
What have they got to investigate if she's not here?
Her patients, she's not going to take them to England with her.
She ought to continue her work in Australia. This is where she belongs.
She belongs where she'll get recognition the quickest. Let her take 10 crippled children in England, the worst cases. Make them walk.
And then what? Royal Commission, Dr. Gideon, England. I don't know where I am.
Now, if you'll just do as I say and make those
I've
10
heard that before, Dr. McDonald, a long time ago. When I was going to get married, you told me if I took 10 children and made them walk, my treatment would be adopted by every hospital in Australia, in the world, remember? Well, I've made 100 children walk. And after 20 years, one lonely orthopedic physician has shown some interest. I'm sorry, Dr. Gideon, but these are the facts.
I can't flatter myself, Elizabeth, that I persuaded you into this work. It was the children.
Oh, I can talk to the plain doctors. But the Dr. Bracks, the specialists, the men who alone could open the door to my work. They live in a fortress. I'm only a nurse. I have no degrees, no passwords. I'm outside the walls of Jericho. There's strong walls you don't know how strong and how high. Inside the walls of Jericho, they can't hear the crying of children.
Sister Kenny.
Elizabeth, a minute ago you were talking about the walls of Jericho. You remember what happened to him?
Well, some people shouted and blew trumpets, didn't they?
Some people. Yes. And the walls came tumbling down.
I'm booked on flight 70.
Half an hour's delay, Mum. Fog's very heavy.
Oh, well, then I'll get a cup of tea.
Right, Joe. This way, please.
That's all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Kevin.
Well, I finally found you.
I phoned your office a dozen times.
Only returned an hour ago.
Oh.
Just missed you in Paris. I nearly caught up with you in Berlin, but I was determined to catch you in London.
Bless the fog.
Look, Liz, can't you miss this plane? The weather's rotten. I can get you a reservation tomorrow. Let's go back to London.
Oh, dear, I'd love to. I've got to be in Sydney on the 5th. There's a government plane waiting for me in Alexandria. Could I get there on time if I took the morning plane?
No, couldn't do it.
Oh. Well, we'll take what time there is. Oh, another order of tea, please.
Yes, Sister Kenny.
Well, you're getting famous.
Oh, yes. Everybody likes me except the doctors.
I saw in the papers that you were going to do a lot of work here. Why are you in such a tearing hurry to get back to Australia?
You won't believe it, Kevin. The government has sent for me.
Oh.
There's another bad outbreak of polio.
I haven't seen anything about this in the newspapers.
This Munich business has sort of crowded it out.
The people are demanding Kenny clinics. So you've done it.
No. I haven't done it, but I can see a wee crack in the walls of Jericho.
Dr. McDonald?
Yes. He realized before I did that my real hope was in the people. Do you remember the night he told me to take their failures?
I certainly do.
For 20 years, I didn't think I was getting any place. But all the time, the mothers, the fathers, and the friends of the children were forming an army. They didn't know it. I didn't know it. And the Dr. Bracks didn't know it. But we know it now. And it's a pretty powerful army.
You're a great woman, Liz.
I've had great friends.
How's your mother?
She's not too well. Oh. Did you know I'm a struggling author?
Oh? The Kenny concept of infantile paralysis. That's wonderful, Liz.
Just off the press.
May I have it?
Well, of course you may.
Liz, you know, it's taken me many years to understand what you tried to tell me in Townsville.
Well, it wasn't easy for either of us.
I wanted 10 children. You have thousands.
I still miss the 10.
So do I. But when they laughed, you'd have heard the crying of crippled children. That's what you knew, wasn't it?
Yes, Kevin.
I'm glad it turned out this way.
That's what I've always hoped for. To hear you say it.
Attention, please. Flight 70. Paris, Rome, Alexandria. Passengers will please come to gate 3.
Oh, you like this to read on the plane?
Oh, thank you. Peace in our time, says Chamberlain. Do you believe it, Kevin?
Well, it gives us time to get ready.
Well, what do you think of it?
Incredible. When she sees this, she'll certainly go to America.
Yes, that's what I'm afraid of.
The Royal Commission has left things exactly where they were 10 years ago.
Unfortunately.
I don't even see how they think this will save their faces, when all the younger orthopedic men are already using the Kenny treatment, whether they choose to call it that or not. Royal Commission. She does great work in Europe. We call her back, she slaves through an epidemic here, then they throw that in her face. Well, I'd hate to be the one who has to tell her.
Mr. Tudor, I have Toowoomba on the telephone.
Thank you.
The private line.
Hello, Dr. McDonald.
Hello, Tudor. Oh, so they finally got it down on paper, did they? Huh? Yes, I'm still here. Oh, of course it can't stop the work, but she's not getting any younger. Plain fact is, she's got to take it easy. Of course it's serious. At her age, it's always serious. Yes, I'll tell her.
Oh, you can take these now, Alan.
Yes, sister.
Hello, Dr. McDonald.
Well, Doctor.
Hello, Elizabeth.
But I didn't hear your car.
Oh, this rationing puts me right back where I was 50 years ago. I'm a horse and buggy doctor.
Oh, well, how'd you get here so early?
I left yesterday. I stopped overnight at the Frasers.
Well, sit down. Would you like a cup of tea?
No, thank you. I've had my breakfast.
I'll be ready in just a moment. Oh, anything here you want?
Oh, they're probably books I gave you myself.
Something wrong?
You're really closing the place up, aren't you?
Well, I don't know how long I'll be in America.
I had a call from Tutor.
Oh?
The report of the Royal Commission is 130 pages of undiluted condemnation of your work and ideas. They say that on no account should you be permitted to attend a case of infantile paralysis, either recent or of long standing. They condemn the government for spending money on the Kenny clinics instead of giving its support to the orthodox method. They recommend that the Kenny clinics be closed.
That really stops me.
Oh, the people won't stand for it.
The people? What can the people do against organized authority?
Well, don't forget they got you the clinics in the first place. Of course, this report won't do you any good in America. Maybe you should reconsider. You think you really have to go?
I don't think it. I know it. Come along, Doctor. Sister Kenny, unscientific. Rubbish.
Huh?
They haven't even read my book.
Oh, would you quit your gab? I've read those reviews. Besides, you shouldn't be bothered by petty minds.
Sister Kenny's book has parts that are new and parts that are good, but the good is not new and the new is not good. Sir Charles Brack.
Would you put those reviews away?
Listen to this. It's the abandonment of immobilization and splinting that is most startling. A complete denial of long-established principles. The British Medical Journal.
Elizabeth, you haven't much time before your train leaves.
Oh, sorry. Took me 6 years to write that book. 30 years of work to get ready to write it, and they dismissed it in 36 words.
You want to read those reviews, or do you want me to listen to your heart?
Oh, listen to my heart. Go ahead. Put the plugs in your ears.
Well, if you wouldn't confuse them. Talk.
You doctors.
Wait.
Well, there's nothing wrong with my...
Quiet!
Oh, you needn't pull that long face. It's no worse than it's been for the last 10 years.
Well, listen to it yourself.
tell you. Whistle bang, whistle bang.
Quiet.
Well, it's not very good, is it?
At last will I do what I've got to do.
It won't if you don't take it easy.
Why don't you take it easy?
Oh, I do.
Ah, you're a liar.
You're a cantankerous woman. You've always been a trial to me. I like things easy.
How many beds have you got in this hospital now?
200.
I remember when you only had 20. You liked things easy.
Your father gave us 2.
Mother managed that. How'd you get the others?
Oh, from people. Nellie was pretty good at persuading him. Kevin Connors gave us 10. You didn't know that, did you? I saw Dorrie McIntyre the other day. Do you remember her? She was your first case. Her eldest daughter's training here as a nurse. Her name's Elizabeth. She's a fine girl. You're a famous woman, Elizabeth. I imagine I'm the only one left who knows what it's cost you. And I'd like to take this opportunity to say quite formally, it's a privilege to have known you.
Thank you.
Whatever you do, whatever happens, remember, the people are more important than the system. That's true in government. They're fighting a war to prove it. And it's true in medicine. You've got that fight left, Elizabeth. It's a big fight. It won't be easy. I wish I could help you. But you'll be a long way off, and I'm getting old.
Elton, I'm no chicken.
Do you know what time it is, Dr. MacDonald? They're waiting for you in Ward 7. You'll need your white coat, and don't forget your glasses.
Oh, don't tell me what I'll need. Go on. I'll need a new head nurse. You know, it would have been nice if we'd had time for a long talk about all the people we used to know. Oh, well, there'll be time for that when you get back from America.
Mr. Kenny, this way, please. Hold it, please. Thank you. This way, Kenny. Thanks, honey.
One more, please. Is this your first visit to America, Sister Kenny?
That's right.
What do you think of San Francisco, Sister?
Well, if you ask me, it's getting a little too big for its bridges.
Sister, are you a nun?
A nun? Nothing as fine as that.
Then how come they call you Sister?
Oh, that's what they call an army nurse in Australia.
Oh. What about the report of that Royal Commission? Did it hurt you much?
Not as much as it hurt the children.
Give us the lowdown on doctors, Sister.
The what?
The lowdown, the dope.
The dirt, you know. They say you've been pretty rough on them.
Isn't that what you're here for, to show up the doctors?
Certainly not. I'm here to do what I can for the children of America.
Oh, come on, sister. We know what you think about doctors.
Give us a headline.
Give us your honest opinion.
Very well, young man. My honest opinion is that it's easier to criticize a doctor than to be one. That's all. Go along, boys.
All right, thank you very much.
That's all right. Yes, it's the same old story. From San Francisco to New York, I've been given what I believe you Americans call the runaround. Oh, I hadn't heard that one. The brush off. That's it. The Dr. Bracks seem as strong here as they are in Australia. Well, I had high hopes when I came to America. But ever since Pearl Harbor, I realize I've been wasting my time. When do I sail? Good. Tell the consul I'm very grateful. Oh, yes. Of course I'll talk to him. Put him on. Come in.
Sister Kenny?
Yes?
I'm from the New York Globe.
Oh, well, sit down, sit down. Not on my luggage. I haven't got anything to say, except that I'm going back to Australia, if that's news.
That's news, all right, but wait a minute.
I've waited 2 years. Yes. Oh, how do you do? No, I'm afraid I can't reconsider. Stop that. Well, the only place that's shown any interest is the University of Minnesota. Stop poking me. Oh, no, I didn't mean you. Well, I can't wait any longer for their report. I'm afraid it'll drag on as long as the Royal Commission. And, well, frankly, I haven't any money left. Well, thank you very much. I'll pick up the tickets right away.
Sister
You shouldn't
Kenny.
interrupt people, young man. Where's your manners?
But,
You
sister-
heard what I said. I'm going back to Australia.
I'll bet you don't.
What did you come here for?
Well, I thought maybe you'd like to read this.
Oh, who's calling me a quack this time?
Read it.
I don't want to read it.
Well, then I guess you'll just have to listen to it. Quote, "We have no hesitation in saying that the Kenny method will form the basis for all future treatment." End quote. Quote, "Absolutely no deformities have materialized. 55% recoveries were registered in 32 days." End quote.
They're talking about acute cases.
Yeah, it says that here from the University of Minnesota.
Let me see this.
The big news is they've been hit by a bad epidemic of infantile paralysis in Minneapolis. The people want you to go over there and set up a clinic. The university wants you, the Board of Public Welfare wants you, and the mayor wants you. Now, are you going or aren't you?
Young man, have you ever been kissed by a woman my age?
Huh?
Oh, never mind, never mind. Pick up those bags.
Sister, where's your manners?
Please.
Oh, come on, sister. You've seen doctors before.
Not to hear me speak. Now, where were we?
You haven't dictated a word yet.
Oh, dear Dr. McDonald.
Do you think you'll have time?
Oh, yes. They're going through the wards first. Now, where was I?
Dear Dr. McDonald.
At the end of this letter, I hope to add the greatest piece of news I've heard in 35 years. The report of the National Committee that has been investigating my work for the past 16 months in the United States. That committee is composed of outstanding orthopedic men. Yes, the walls of Jericho are really tumbling down. I have every reason to believe that it will not be another fiasco like the Royal Commission. If it is unfavorable, I shall have a spasm. Spasm. But more of this later. Today is the climax of my 3 years' work in Minneapolis. You won't believe a word of this, but it's true. This morning I am lecturing to orthopedic surgeons. Cross my heart. My first lecture. The first course of study at the new institute. Also, it is my birthday. And by the way, don't go around telling people how old I am. I don't like it. Oh, another thing. The new book is just out. Even Brack will have to read this one. B-R-A-C-K, Brack. Because it was written in collaboration with an orthopedic man. The medical director of the Kenny Institute. I am sending you a copy with this letter, yes?
Cablegram, sister.
Thank you. I long to see Australia. But since I cannot get away, you will have to come to America next year and see a hep-cap bush nurse. You won't know what that means. It's an honorary degree. Incidentally, I have 3 real honorary degrees. I don't know why I am writing in such a familiar way to a mere MD.
Is that all? Is that the end, sister?
Yes.
But it's not finished. You were going to add something about the report when it comes out. Shall I type out what I have?
No. Never mind.
But
doctors are waiting for you, sister.
Thank you. Thank you, doctors. Thank you very much. I am not in the habit of being greeted so warmly by doctors. Your laughter reminds me of an occasion many years ago when I was greeted by laughter. It was, however, laughter of another sort. It was because I used 4 words you are going to hear a great deal of during this course of study: spasm, alienation, incoordination, and re-education. Before demonstrating their application, however, the medical director has asked to make a few remarks.
I have Sister Kenny's permission to make a few remarks, but not to say what I'm going to say. When she lays me out afterwards, I'm going to tell her she opened the door by mentioning re-education. Gentlemen, that's what you're here for, re-education. Like myself, you went to medical school. You worked hard for years. Then, like myself, you went on into a very difficult branch, which required more years of study. You piled up experience, and today you feel that you are thoroughly qualified men. Hard as it is to learn, it is even more difficult to unlearn. As an American humorist, Artemus Ward, said many years ago, it ain't the things we don't know that causes all the trouble. It's the things we do know that ain't so. Now, I'm well aware that not all of you are convinced. But the fact that you are here from all parts of the United States and Canada is proof that you are open-minded men. In my opinion, had Miss Kenny been a doctor, this controversy would not have gone on for 35 years. And I'm equally sure, and I say this at the risk of life and limb, that if Sister Kenny herself had used a little more sugar and a little less vinegar, the salad would have been more to our taste. But you can't fight 35 years, gentlemen, without the use of vinegar. However, all these petty things should be swept aside. What we are concerned about is the lives of children, not our personal feelings. As true physicians, we want to find the best possible treatment for this disease that afflicted 19,000 children last year in the United States alone.
Thank you, Doctor. Now, Tommy, you see here a typical case in the convalescent stage. The acute stage is past. The pain is all gone, but the real difficulties now begin. We have here what is known as apparent or functional paralysis, what I call alienation. Yes? Doctors, I have just been told that the report of the National Committee is coming through on the radio. They're putting it on the loudspeaker.
With the Kenny treatment as without it. And in conclusion, the 5 specialists who compose the committee report that they find no evidence the Kenny treatment prevents or decreases the amount of paralysis. I quote, "We criticize severely the oft-repeated statements of Miss Kenny to patients who have come to her after treatment elsewhere, that had this case come to her early, the disability would have been prevented. Such statements are not founded on fact." End quote. The entire report of the committee is a severe criticism of Sister Kenny and her supporters. And with respect to her claims for recoveries, she is accused of, quote, "deliberate misrepresentation of the facts of treatment by other methods," end quote.
I don't know what evidence the National Committee considered, but we who are using the Kenny treatment here in Minneapolis have observed her work sufficiently long to know that crooked, shortened limbs and twisted bodies are not a necessary consequence of this disease, because these tragedies do not occur in the Kenny-treated cases in Minneapolis. As medical director of the Elizabeth Kenny Institute, I have no hesitation in saying it is time to abolish antiquated methods which allow children to suffer deformities from infantile paralysis.
That's a very fine speech, Doctor, but I'm getting tired of being polite about it. Crippled children are more important than medical etiquette. Year after year, committees investigate the ideas of Sister Kenny. But whoever investigated the brains of the committees?
I did, young man. I've survived worse blows than this when I had fewer friends. This is a problem of man's own mind. When we speak with the voice of authority, we finally come to believe that we are authority and not just its voice. This report will do damage, not to me, but to thousands of children who may be deprived of proper treatment. I do think the personal attack is unworthy of these gentlemen. I have never knowingly misrepresented facts. I don't have to. And I owe too much to doctors to be embittered. I owe too much to America to feel anything but gratitude. In America, my treatment was tried for the first time on acute cases. In America, I have been able to work side by side with specialists. And don't think this work has gone unnoticed, even beyond the borders of this country. Infantile paralysis doesn't know anything about national borders, races, creeds, colors, rich or poor, and neither, thank God, does medical science. Oh, I've fought doctors, in the bush and in the city. And as you say here, I haven't pulled any punches. And neither have they. They are stubborn, headstrong, cantankerous, domineering, quibbling people. And they're wonderful. The very fact they fought so bitterly for what they believed has made me respect them. If any group of men can give a better account of themselves when they come to meet their Maker... Forgive me, gentlemen. I am thinking of a doctor who was very close to me in this work. He was a very good man. And now, to return to the subject of teaching these muscles to walk again.
You haven't touched your teeth, sister. Oh, I was thinking. What's that?
I don't know.